Now you're looking for trouble condition.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of American Werewolves, where we talk all things horror. I am your co-host, Brandon.
I'm Jerry.
And we are here talking about, I don't know which way it's going to be recording, whatever was behind Jerry. It's Smile 2. He has a background. I don't. My computer is being stupid, so I am using my phone, which is why we have a different setting. Probably why you can see me even clearer than usual. So, but yeah, no cool background.
Maybe you should just regularly do it on your phone.
I should probably, honestly. Hold on, these dogs want to leave. Get out of here. I should, honestly. It looks better. I'm like, I don't need a background. I can make a background, honestly. Just probably put some cool shit behind me.
There you go.
Yes, but we are here talking about Smile 2. Definitely late to the party on this one, but you know, life catches up on you and it says, hey, you don't have much time to really sit down and talk about all these horror movies that you love that are coming out. But we make time. And I am just happy that we get to talk about this one because this is a movie that kind of came out of nowhere in terms of like how much I was actually enjoying it.
Yeah.
Now, the first Smile movie, the trailer came out and stuff like that, and I think everyone kind of simultaneously thought that this just seems like another generic horror movie, almost like a Blumhouse-esque horror movie that didn't think like it was gonna be much of anything. It just seemed like it was gonna be in and out of theater, and that was it, and not that many people were gonna talk about it. And then it became a success critically and financially, and everyone was, they were really digging that first movie. And I watched it and I was surprised how much I enjoyed it and how much it genuinely creeped me out because, the trailer makes it seem like just some generic horror movie, like supernatural horror. But then when you watch the movie, it kind of seems a little more, it's made with a little more passion than a lot of these other horror movies. It's made with a little more passion than like what Ouija would be made for, that Truth or Dare movie and stuff like that. This Parker Finn, the writer and director, has this like particular style that he makes a mainstream movie just look like an indie horror movie. And he kind of has this way to blend those two those two aesthetics together and make it work for like a wider audience. And yeah, it kind of surprised a lot of people in that aspect. So with it making a lot of money, it was no surprise that a Smile 2 was happening, especially with the way that first movie ended. It was definitely open-ended. But I think everyone was curious. It's like, what else can you really do with this concept, With a demon that's causing people to go crazy and make others, smile and do things that seem very surreal. Like, how are you going to follow that up with the first movie? And usually sequels, they tend to suck. They're not as strong as the first one. But I think Smile 2 is the rare case where I think the sequel is not only really good, but it's even better than the first movie. At least for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is beyond better than the first movie. It is it has a better main character, which, no offense to Rose Cotter, played by Sori Bacon, I believe is her name was in the first movie. No offense to her, she does a great job in that film. But Naomi Scott, who takes up the lead here, she is incredible here, acting wise. She probably gives one of my favorite performances in a horror movie this year so far. I can't really think of another one, but she really does a lot, and she goes all out for this role, and she's so good. But yeah, just not only acting, but her character's been a lot better, a lot more interesting, a lot more fun to follow, and you definitely feel really bad for her once you start to realize what that character is going through with her story. But before I get too ahead of myself, I just want to break down the plot quick. Smile 2 follows, it kind of picks up, I think, a week after where the first movie ended. And I won't tell you what it is if you haven't seen it, but we are following a Sky Riley, played by Naomi Scott, who is she's a musician, she's a singer, and she had gone away from the public eye for about a year because of a substance abuse issue and a car crash that killed her boyfriend. And now she is back in the public light, and she wants to do a comeback tour, and she's doing it sober. She's just trying to move past the situation and get on with her career, get on with her life. And she kind of follows what's going on.
Just the way that you said it, and she's doing it sober. I'm just picturing like,
it's tough, man.
I know. I'm just picturing like promotion, like my world tour, and this time I'm sober.
That's basically, honestly, if you break it down, that's kind of how the movie says it.
It kind of, yeah. She's doing a little Disney Channel thing, and she's like, "My name is Sky Riley, and I'm sober."
And you're watching the Disney Channel. She mentions it every 5 minutes. Did I mention I'm sober? Then the shit starts happening in the movie, and they're like, "Are you sure?
Are you
sure? You sure about that?" But of course, she's gonna want to drink after all this shit starts going down because she witnesses. She ends up going to a drug dealer to get some Vicodin for some back pain, and that is it. And she witnesses, her drug dealer's death, and that curse, that smile curse, that demon is a dickhead. I'm just gonna say that smile curse demon, complete ass, starts to attach itself to her and is like just ruining her life slowly but surely, and she's just trying to figure out what the hell's going on, while also like trying to figure out how to do this tour and get her shit together at the same time. Off the bat, that plot's already bigger than the first movie, where we're just following a therapist throughout the first one, and now we're following a huge pop star who has a lot more eyes on her, a lot more to lose, a lot more pressure, and it makes for a lot more cringeworthy moments in the movie compared to the first one. My God, man. When this demon starts messing with her, bro, it's like I said before, man, this thing's a dick. Like, it brings up like people that aren't actually there. It brings up like her dead boyfriend that died in the car crash she was in before the movie's events, and makes her like go crazy in front of like all these people with all these cameras and stuff. It's like hard to watch, honestly. But yeah, I don't want to say too much about spoilers, but like this really does like improve a lot story wise on the first one. Even with the intro alone, I think I'm not going to say much, but Kyle Gallner from the first movie, he comes back in this movie, and he has a really cool scene in the opening, which I thought was really, really cool. Done in one take. It kind of felt like an action movie almost at that point, or like a crime thriller before it starts, before the horror really starts, which makes me go like, damn, I want to see Parker Finn do more stuff like that if he wants to step away from horror for a little bit. But I really like that. And I just like Kyle Gallner. He's done a lot of cool shit, like with Strange Darling this year. Mm-hmm. Solid, honestly.
No, I want to see more shit.
Yeah, he needs to do more. Like every time, especially in a horror movie, I'm like, I'm sold. Like he always picks like the most interesting projects, it seems, so far. I don't know if you saw The Passenger.
No.
On Prime last year. No. That's more of a thriller. I wouldn't say it's horror, but he plays a cool little psycho in that one. That's all I'm gonna say.
Was that just knows how to play. Is that just what he likes to do now? Just play little psychos?
Yeah, generally. I mean, he's not psycho here. Kinda.
I guess not, no.
Kinda.
If you really had the demon, would you kill somebody to get it off of you?
Who am I killing?
Whoever you decide. I don't know. It's just to get rid of the thing.
I would do what Kyle Gallner did in this movie if I had the ability to do it.
Dog, I would just kill myself.
That-
Kill two birds with
just
one
make
stone. You
sure-
know what I mean?
Make sure I'm not watching. Fuck it.
Yeah, I know. It'd be like in the privacy of my. Yo, what if fuck?
Don't say what if Gizmo saw you. Your dog is just tripping out. No, imagine that, and then like the demon just sees a dog, and it's like, oh no, no. Gizmo's just looking up all doe-eyed and shit. Oh no.
You imagine Gizmo losing his shit because he's being haunted by this demon?
Emma's just trying to get past the fucking trauma, and then she just sees Gizmo floating across the room and shit.
Just fucking throw himself into the refrigerator.
Poor Gizmo. Give that dog a hug right now.
No, he's sleeping.
Oh man.
Oh fuck.
Parker Finn, explore that in part 3. You know, make it a dog possessed, even his first scene.
That
Just
is-
don't show it dying. You know,
That is actually something I did want to finish your thought if you remember it.
I lost my thought.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Go ahead.
Fuck. How do I ask this question without say what else you want to say, because my question
Is
may
a spoiler.
potentially, not really, but like it could be if you think about it hard enough.
Okay. I don't even remember what I was saying, but I guess I'll ask you about your non-spoiler thoughts. What did you think about it? Not giving away too much.
Just like Terrifier 3, I was pleasantly surprised.
Nice.
I did very, very much like this movie. Better than the first. I remember when we kind of mentioned our thoughts on this a few videos ago. I don't know how many. I think it was for like our upcoming 2024.
Okay.
And I mentioned how this one, or maybe it was for the first Smile review. I mentioned how I wasn't sure how I felt about this one. One, because the trailer just looked kind of like meh.
Yeah, it had the same problem as the first movie's trailer, where it just looked
goofy.
goofy, generic.
Yeah.
Like that. Honestly, even that scene behind you, that shot to me was like goofy.
Yeah.
Even though it is creepy, but it's like still.
I also was like, she's a pop star. Like, it's hard to relate to someone like that large. Like when I I enjoy thriller novels, and my favorite kind of thriller novels are where the protagonist is kind of like an underdog, and just an average person, not like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying these are bad books, because I have read plenty of them and they've been good, but like where the main character is like a detective or something like that, those aren't always going to be the first ones I reach for, because I like story, because like a detective, you have resources that can make your journey easier. I like stories where there is just an average person, just an average Joe, being thrown into a shit situation and they don't have resources and they have to get out. And so her being this big pop star, I thought could kind of make things not
too
necessarily kind of not too, I don't want to say too easy, because it's not like she has she's not a detective, like I said, but easier than, just a therapist who, someone who's a therapist, you have this story where it's like, hey, you help people who aren't in the best spot mentally, and maybe maybe as a therapist you aren't in the best spot mentally. That's an interesting fucking story if people think as a therapist you are fucking crazy. And I just thought that a pop star couldn't really grab that same story or a depth of a story, and I was wrong.
It couldn't grab. Yeah, it couldn't. You thought they couldn't grab the audience the same way,
Yeah.
make you latch onto them and feel for them.
Yeah, and I was thankfully very wrong.
Yeah.
They made her very.
It's like her resources, like you mentioned, almost go against her in this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
they do.
She can't turn to anything.
Because she's so heavily in the public eye, and
Yeah.
so she has to be very careful with how she goes about certain things, and she does certain things in public throughout this film that could affect her career going forward.
Yeah.
Which her career, she starts off with the film starts off with her career already in a bad spot. Yeah, in terms of like her character, the events that happen in the film, the way the film ends, like just the twist alone is like pull off super fucking well.
Yeah. Especially compared to the first movie.
Yeah.
I know, like, I'll say this with the ending. Like, there are some things there where I was like, the rug kind of got pulled a little too hard under me. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't take away from how effective it was, and for how, like, by the end, my jaw was like, it dropped.
Yep.
By the time, and it was like hanging until the credits started rolling, and I was like, no fucking way they pulled that off. Mm. I'm terrified for what's gonna happen for a third movie, if there is a third movie.
Yeah, that's
insane.
I'll ask it when we kind of give.
Well, we can go to spoilers now.
Okay.
I really don't have much else to say, like, without giving away too much. But like, yeah, Naomi Scott, Sky Riley going crazy. This entity is an asshole, and it is just constantly messing with her and ruining her life. And there are a lot of scenes, especially with the blood and the violence, that also kind of surprised me compared to the first movie. It's not like it's Terrifier 3, where, like, it's excessive and disgusting, but it's still pretty gross and unexpected. Especially like the scene where, like, the drug dealer, Lucas Gage's character, he's like starts smacking his face.
Oh, and his face just starts like peeling off.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like that. It was bad. And then like the ending sequence, just like what happens there looked incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I say definitely go check this out. Even if you haven't seen the first one, I think you'll be fine, honestly. I would definitely check it out. And even if you weren't a fan of the first one, maybe give this one a shot. I think you might enjoy it a lot more.
Because you don't really need to see the first one. So
yeah, the only reason you would need to see the first one is the opening intro, to get more context with the opening intro. But yeah. I feel like that kind of works alone on a short film where you can kind of connect the pieces together. You don't really need it.
Yeah, because like even if you don't understand the way the creature works, they kind of explain it again like midway through the film. So you don't really need to see the first one to enjoy this one. I recommend you do. One, just to kind of have that in your pocket, and to understand the opening. But if you truly, like, if you were like, no, I just want to go into this one just to watch it, you'll be all right. You don't really...
It's not like people who were telling me... I had a friend, she was literally saying, I want to go see Maxine. I'm going to go see it. And I was like, did you watch X or Pearl? And she was like, no, but I don't care. And I'm like, you're not gonna care or understand what the hell is happening. Yeah. At least... I mean, you could, but it's not going to hit you as hard.
You would have to watch Pearl. I think you could get away with not watching, or you have to watch X. No, I think you could get away. Yeah, that's what I meant. You could get away with not watching Pearl going into Maxine.
Yeah.
Because Pearl is a prequel that takes place years and years and years before.
It has nothing. It kind of acts like DLC, honestly. In that trilogy,
it has nothing to fucking do with Maxine. So you could get away with it.
It's great.
It's a phenomenal. Though. It's the best out of the trilogy. But
yes, it is. The one that has nothing to do with the main story.
Yeah.
The best out of the three. But yeah, we're going to start talking spoilers for Smile 2. So if you have not seen it, please go away. You should definitely go in and watch this one before listening to the rest if you haven't. And if you don't care, I mean, I guess stick around. But trust me, it's fun. Check it out. So, what were the questions you had? Spoiler filled.
If there is so at the end of this movie, we are led to believe Sky One meets this guy named Morris. And he's like, hey, I know you have it because this creature killed my brother, and I've been tracking this creature down. Morris is an EMT nurse, EMT...
ER nurse.
ER nurse, okay.
Yeah.
He is like, what we can do to stop this creature is to kill you. Because if the creature doesn't kill you in front of anybody, it has no way to transfer itself. Yeah. So we kill you, I can resuscitate you. She's like, no. Movie goes on, a few more things happen, and she's like, all right, fine. So he meets her in this like abandoned fucking like closed down. What was it, like a closed Pizza Hut or something like that?
Yeah. It's a closed Pizza Hut.
Yeah, and they bring her into a walk-in freezer to so that her brain can survive longer by keeping her body temperature at a certain level.
Yeah.
And Morris is like, oh, wait, I have to go grab something. Give me a moment. And he leaves. A couple minutes pass by. He's not back. She's like, what the fuck? And the creature starts whooping her ass. The creature then is like, hey, break a leg out there. And then she winds up on stage on the first night of her tour. For a moment, you think, oh, this is just a hallucination. The creature's fucking with her. But no, she's actually there. Like, this is the actual tour. And so a few events that happened earlier in the film didn't actually happen.
Yeah, it's literally saying the last few days were all a hallucination.
Yeah. Do you think Morris existed? Do you think Morris was a real man? Or was it the creature kind of playing with her hopes?
It's something I've been kind of debating about with myself. I think, but I'm going to the conclusion that I believe Morris, I think Morris is real.
You do?
At least
okay.
in the bar scene, yeah. Because one, I don't think the creature would want to, I mean, it's not, I guess it wouldn't be far-fetched for the creature to give their victims hope. Mm-hmm. Only to tear it away to like enhance the fear, because that's what they get off on, is like the more fear you are, like the fearful you are, the tastier you are, essentially. But I think she started hallucinating when the sequence in her apartment happens. You see it in the trailer. It's like a group of people and fans like kind of like crawling towards her, and I think that's when like, you know, when they knock her out. I think that's when she gets possessed or starts hallucinating full on and doesn't understand what's happening. But I mean, there could be other arguments you could make where like maybe that wasn't real. Maybe Morris wasn't real. But I guess to me, I would like to think that Morris was real. And that she was, and you know, she should have just gone for help right there in that moment when she had the chance.
I mean, I understand why she didn't. He was like, let's
of course,
kill you.
Yeah, it's sketchy as hell. Let's
weird.
Kill you.
You meet this random guy in a fucking bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Morris was real.
Okay.
Because what's her name? Her friend wasn't real.
Yeah, her friend definitely wasn't. It was grabbing, you know, but it grabbed like people that like she knew. That thing was grabbing people that she knew to like mess with her. So I was like, that made more sense. For Morris is someone she never met. But then again, I don't know. The creature could be anyone. They could pull anything out of their back pocket and just like disguise themselves as whoever. It's
also because he how long he was gone. He was like, I have to get something. He was gone for a fat minute. Like, and
no, I don't think she went with him or anything. To the Pizza Hut. That was definitely not real.
Oh, you don't think she was ever like
No, I think when she got possessed in her apartment, everything after that was fake. Her in the hospital gown, in the hospital with her
Okay.
mom before she kills her mom.
That's
The whole
possible.
thing with Morris when they're driving, all that is not real. None of that is real. Like when they meet at the bar, that's real. But that next scene is literally her going to her apartment and being attacked in her apartment by those fans and stuff. I think that's when the hallucination started hardcore settling in, because Morris even warns her like it's going to start messing with you in ways that you won't even realize. He says that at the bar before she storms out. So I think that's when it happens, and that's when everything after that point until she's back on that stage was just in her head. It was just that demon messing with her.
Question number 2. This was the original question I had. Because of the way the film ends with Skye killing herself on the first night of her tour in front of a stadium full of people.
Shocking.
So the creature...
I got chills right now you just saying that, because that scene was crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. Because the creature now has infected a state no less than 10,000 people. Do you think, 1, that there is going to be a third? And 2,
yes.
If there is, what would you like to see in that third one? Because what I think would be a really cool fucking idea is to see the third one as kind of the world in peril and people slowly losing their mind because this infection is now spreading. But I would like to see it from somebody who isn't infected. The point of view of somebody who has not been hit by the creature and has to live in this world where everybody else is being haunted by this demon, and they kind of have to, kind of like a post-apocalyptic film, like, except not zombies or anything like that, but all these people who are slowly losing their minds because of this thing, and your protagonist in the film is one of the last few people on Earth who has managed to escape being infected.
Yes. That's actually very much what I wanted to see, because, the theme of this is, with these 2 films so far, this franchise now has always been about trauma and how it affects people in different ways, and how, this film deals with a lot of themes of people unaliving themselves. It's very heavy on that. And it's kind of like, I can see this third movie, if it's coming worldwide and becomes like this epidemic, this infection that spreads, it's scarier because it kind of correlates with real life, where like you hear more reports of, these terrible things that people are, of like depression and anxiety and stuff like that kind of being on the rise. The world we live in is not really easy to live in. Right. So I can see that third movie correlating with a lot of stuff in real life, and it can say a lot about that. And that alone already makes the concept a lot scarier, because it's something a lot of people can generally relate to. But yeah, as for someone from the perspective of someone that isn't infected, that would be very interesting. I didn't think about that, because, the whole fun of these movies is like, oh, you want to watch the person kind of lose their mind and go crazy. But if you're going to try to change it up, which you definitely should, I think there's a lot of room to play. There's a lot of stuff to play with in that idea, where it's from the point of view of someone not infected.
Yeah.
And if it was following someone that is infected, and if they really were ballsy, they can definitely go like bigger, with maybe someone in that audience was someone very important with a lot of power. Let's say it was, I don't know, someone working in the government or something like that, and they witnessed it, and now it's affecting their work, and how it could just affect even more. It can go even wider and wider and wider. Yeah. Honestly, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. I kind of like your idea more. I'm just trying to think, would that take away from the fun that these first 2 films set up, with like the hallucinations and the surrealism of people kind of slowly losing their minds and trying to fight their way past it.
Right. Because I think like it would basically turn into The Purge at that point. Like people slowly losing their minds, and some people learning about this creature and going, well, if I just kill somebody in front of somebody else, I can get this thing off of me. And then you would have the streets filled with just like crime and the world just like fucking falling apart. And you have this one person who somehow has managed to avoid anything like that, and just survive, and try and survive in this now kind of fucked up Jurassic World Purge kind of America.
I can see it. And like, just the theme of that alone, showing like how this person is surrounded by this heaviness, and they're just trying to avoid it at all costs, but it only gets harder and harder because, it's heavy. You can't avoid stuff like that. I feel like that is a really cool idea, honestly. You might be onto something. You need to contact Parker Finn right now. Let's go. Let's do it. Oh man. But yeah, I think that'd be a cool idea for a third movie for sure. What was your favorite scene in this movie? Do you have one?
I don't know. I think the scene for me that I was like, fuck, was when she killed her mom.
Her mom.
Because like she didn't actually do it, but in that moment we all think that she did. And you kind of sit there like, what the fuck else?
There's
like,
no out.
Yeah, like
There's no out.
She's fucked. Like, how do you move forward from that?
It's like you can beat this, but you're still screwed. Like, ain't no out.
Yeah.
I felt that. Yeah, that was definitely a high tension one. I think the one that freaked me out the most, but also had me laughing, is when that crazed fan breaks into her house and she sees like his clothes like on the floor and stuff, and she's like following the trail of clothes in her apartment. And you see that one shot of like his underwear just stained like crazy, and they hold on it for like a very long time.
Oh yeah, that was fucking, because it is the creature fucking with her, but there is also like, he was so weird that there's a very like, for a moment I was like, is this actually happening? Like, that was one thing that I really liked about this film, is that there are things that happen that you're like, is this the creature fucking with her, or is this actually happening? Like, there are moments where you truly don't know.
Yeah. You know what I think Parker Finn should do next, honestly, when he's done with Smile? I already know he's working on a remake of Possession with Robert Pattinson. But do you know what I think he should try to tackle next, actually?
What?
A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think he would be perfect for that, because he's already kind of proven that he can mess with like reality and make a lot of surreal things happen. Because that's the thing that works about that original Nightmare on Elm Street movie, is that like you don't really know what's real and what's not up until a certain point. And I feel like that's something the sequels and even the last remake in 2010 that came out just kind of failed to capture. I feel like if Parker Finn was behind that, he can definitely pull it off. I really think he should do a Nightmare on Elm Street when they finally decide to remake that thing and get it off the ground.
Yeah, no, I could see that. It's been a minute since we've gotten a new Nightmare film.
I was talking about it last night with Hodap. I was like, it's been a while. We haven't gotten really any updates. Every update I hear about this movie, it's like, oh, maybe. Oh, possibly. Oh, well, we would want to try to do this, but there's nothing confirmed. Like, not even, I don't think even a studio's grabbed the rights to it yet, as far as I know. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about Smile 2. I love the acting. I love the direction the story takes. Parker Finn has proven, this is only his second feature film, and he's already proven to be one of the best horror directors out there. I'm really excited for what he does with Possession, a movie that I don't think should be remade, but it's happening, and if anyone's going to do it, I think he can pull it off. What would you rate this movie?
I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, nice. I'm gonna go ahead and give it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Honestly,
Yeah, I really liked it. I don't know if I would watch it again.
probably not. That's the
But
thing. I don't. The movie's a little too long. I'll say that the pacing's kind of off
you
at some
do feel the
points.
length of it.
Yeah. It's longer than the first movie, but it's still good. Like but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those where I'm like, one, it's a little too depressing to want to sit through and watch again. So it gets heavy. But yeah, the pacing on it is just, it can be very, it can drag a bit. You can feel it, but it's not boring, but it's not one I want to sit through again. Unless, it was a group of friends that haven't seen it before, then it's like, why not? We'll pop it on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's definitely worth watching. I'm really excited to see what they do with a third movie, especially the way this ends, because they're definitely setting it up to be global, which is pretty fun. So a lot of cool shit there.
Have they announced a third one? No, right?
He talked about how, let's see, he says it right here. I have a note. It was here. They haven't confirmed it, but they said, let me see if I can find it. He says there's a lot of interesting stuff to explore in the world of Smile. I'd want to make sure that there's new, exciting, fresh way into it that the audience isn't anticipating. I also want to find some new ways to scare them and unnerve them. He talks about building it, saying they only really scratched the surface with the first movie and even the second one. That there's a lot more to explore.
Okay.
So he definitely has ideas, but we don't know exactly where they're going to be going.
Okay.
So yeah, I was gonna ask. You didn't finish A Quiet Place yet, right? I know you were playing the new Quiet Place video game.
No, I'm like near the end though. I think I'm like 80%, 85% of the way through because I played for quite a while. Not yesterday because I worked yesterday. 2 days ago. Yeah, I spent like a good like chunk of my day just getting through the game.
Nice.
So I think I'm either like I'm definitely within like the last like 20% of the game, if not closer to the end.
Yeah. Okay. So you're digging it so far, then you like enjoy it and stuff.
It's good. I don't know if I would recommend paying $30. It's only $30. I don't know if I would want to pay $30 for it. I would probably still say wait for like a discount. It's I just don't. I don't know. It's good. It is a good general game. I'm not really sure what my problem is with it right now, but like I'm just not super connected to it. Like
Gotcha.
I don't really feel for the main character. And maybe it's because it's like a recycled storyline because the protagonist, she's pregnant, and that's kind of what we saw in the first one. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too when I saw the plot. I was like, it just seems like the same shit, just you get to play as it now. And while the gameplay seemed fun, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of seemed a little repetitive. Like they weren't really changing it up a lot. It was just always go from here to here and stay quiet. It didn't seem like there was much else added to it.
Yeah, there isn't really anything special about it. Like it's a lot of like you have to you're trying to make your way to like a safe camp, where like the National Guard set up, I think, and you throughout the game there are just moments where one of the monsters pops up and you kind of have to like just be very sneaky around the monster and quiet and like don't kick any cans or anything like that. And it's a good chunk of the game. It's just like, which what the fuck else are you gonna do with it? Like,
Yeah.
but maybe it didn't need to be a game. I think
Maybe.
if the characters were a little better, like the chemistry between her and her boyfriend, isn't really like you don't really care for them that much. Like,
Right.
you're supposed to sympathize with them, but I'm kind of just like, all right. And maybe it's because you're kind of just thrown into this relationship. Like, you don't really get enough of it. I don't know. I have to kind of sit. I have to complete the game and then sit and think about it a little while. But it is repetitive. Gotcha. Like, I do find myself kind of being like, am I near the end of the game already? Kind of wanting it to be done.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's only 5 hours as far as I know. It's like 5-6 hours long in length that it'll take you to beat it.
But it's repetitive. You don't really. It's a repetitive, recycled storyline. It's not a bad game. I don't think it's worth $30. Like,
gotcha.
$15. Wait for like a PlayStation sale or something.
Right.
I wouldn't pay more than like 20 for it.
I was gonna say probably 20 would be the most I'd pay for it.
That would be the absolute most, yeah.
Gotcha. That's good. Well, at least you got to play a spooky game for the Halloween season. I finally finished Silent Hill 2 Remake. I don't know if we talked about it.
I don't think you told me you finished it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I finally finished the game. I'll tell you this: I didn't really struggle much with the combat at all in this game. Like, yeah, I died a few times, but I didn't really struggle that much. But that ending fight got me so mad and pissed me off so much. But regardless of that, what I thought was unfair final fight. I mean, I still managed and I was fine. That a few times. But like most survival horror games, they don't give you a lot of ammo and health unless you're like saving up. But it's kind of hard to do that when everything is trying to kill you in every corner. Mm-hmm. And by the time I got to the last fight, I didn't have much, so it was kind of a miracle that I even beat it. But regardless, my quick review on Silent Hill 2 Remake. And, horror is subjective. People are going to disagree and blah, blah, blah. I think this game is one of the scariest video games I have ever played. At least in a while. Is it my favorite survival horror game to play? No. My favorite will always probably be Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Mm-hmm. I think that game is a perfect survival horror video game in every way. But Silent Hill 2 Remake has scared me in ways that game just hasn't, that a lot of games haven't in general. There's a section that if you know, it's called Toluca Prison, which is by far the scariest segment of any video game I played. Like, there's no lights. There's really not much to help you in there. You just got to hope for the best and get through these puzzles. But I think this game is truly one of the scariest video games I've ever played. I told you this before, I'm not like a diehard of the original game that came out in like the 2000s or 2001. I played it for a little bit, but I never finished it. And then throughout the years, I just kind of like watched, clips on YouTube and watch the story play out from there. And I was like, damn, I can see why this game was influential to a lot of other horror video games after its release. So I know people were nervous about this remake and people were talking crap about it. I was one of them because I looked at the trailers and the gameplay and it just looked clunky and awkward and it didn't look like it was going to do much. But I'm happy to say it's really fun. It's really good. And I think if you're a horror fan, especially a horror video game fan, you definitely need to pick this one up. I will say, though, the only thing I didn't like was I'm not a puzzle guy when it comes to my video games. Yeah. So a lot of the puzzles really frustrated me. And, that's kind of all part of the fun, I guess. Obviously, like, it was fun figuring it out, and you feel good once you accomplish it. You're just like, fuck yeah, let's go. But it messes with the pacing of the story, and I'm so interested in the story that with these puzzles dragging on, especially with it being ultra scary for me, it was just hard to get through. So there would be days where I'd be playing and trying to slowly go through these segments with these puzzles, and like I'm forgetting what the hell's even happening in the story until like a major cutscene happens.
Yeah, your puzzle should not take away from the main story. Like,
yeah. And I know people love it. People are into that shit. They love puzzles in their horror video games and stuff. And more power to you. I'm just not one of them. Right. So, yeah, I think this is the first Silent Hill game I've really played all the way through and finished. And it's one definitely that I've messed around with a little bit on New Game Plus because they give you a bunch of extra stuff. Like they give you a chainsaw in the beginning so you can just slice enemies up. Mm-hmm. And you get a lot of cool alternate endings. There's like 8 endings in this game now compared to the original, which had 6, maybe 7. But I think I got like the generic one, which is the leave ending. I think it's the one that's like the most canon or considered canon throughout the fan base and stuff like that. But there's a lot of other endings on there which I've heard are really, really good and really cool. And there's 2 joke endings that I looked up and I saw they kept it in there, and I was just very glad that they kept those endings in there. If you know, you know. But yeah, Silent Hill 2 is definitely worth the play, especially for the Halloween season and stuff like that. That took up most of my October, and I don't regret buying it at the full price. I don't regret playing it. It was kind of sad to kind of leave that world behind and be like, damn, I'm done with it. And I'm curious what they're going to do next. If they're going to continue be like Resident Evil and just like make more remakes of Silent Hill, or if they're just going to focus on new ones, because it's like, do we really need more remakes of these original games? I think it's just time to just crank out new ones and just make them good. Just make good original games.
Yeah, we've just gotten a lot of remakes and remasters and...
Yeah, which remakes are cool for video games. I mean, I'll prefer a video game remake over a movie remake any day, because I think you're getting more out of a video game remake.
Yeah. But I don't... I hope the video game market just doesn't become a film market where all we eventually get are remakes and remasters and...
Yeah.
Like, I think the Until Dawn remaster is not very necessary. Like,
it was completely unnecessary. Yeah. It was way too soon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I sent you a clip, too. Like, they added some new things, like a new ending for a certain character. And I haven't seen other stuff, but apparently they've hinted at a sequel.
Oh, okay.
At the end of this remake that came out, they added like an extra scene to kind of imply that there's more to do. And I'm just like, okay, why didn't you just make that? Like, I don't know.
I think a sequel would be cool. I like I've played a few of like the Dark Picture anthologies, and I've always kind of just thought they were okay. Yeah. Until Dawn, I do think is a stellar fucking game.
Yeah, it's one of the best horror games out there for sure.
And then there's companies called Supermassive, right? Supermassive Games.
Yeah.
The Quarry is not my favorite.
Yeah, I think it's still good though.
It's good. I think there were too many characters to juggle. Because I feel like some of the characters' stories did not complete very well, and some of them just had very little to do. So yeah. I think they had too many characters to juggle within that story. So, like, I think I like the story of the Quarry better. Like, I like the werewolves better than the Wendigos in Until Dawn. Yeah. I think character-wise and character development, I think Until Dawn handled it better than the Quarry did. So like if I could have like the characters of Until Dawn, but the story of the Quarry, I think that would be like a fucking perfect game. Because I think one of I'm okay with it now because it's an old game. Not old, but the game came out quite some time ago. Until Dawn was advertised as kind of this like thriller, like there's a serial killer chasing you.
Yeah, like a 90s slasher. I think I remember it being kind of marketed as.
And then I remember I got the game like fucking midnight, like drop. I went to GameStop and I picked it up. And I remember getting like halfway through or whatever part it's revealed what's actually happening, and it randomly turned supernatural. And I'm like, because like just randomly throwing a supernatural aspect is just not my favorite.
Depends how you pull it off, though.
Yeah, it depends how you pull it off, because like that's what Longlegs does, and I fucking love it. But I'm okay with it now because it's been out for years, and the game is still fucking great. Even though I was like, when I first played it, the game is still fucking awesome, and I've replayed that game like 5 fucking times. But that is the issue that I have with the Until Dawn story.
Right.
But yeah, the Quarry, I just don't think the characters were handled very well in the Quarry. There are some characters that I think are great, but
I was gonna say some characters get a lot of love in the Quarry from me. Mainly the main two that you find in the beginning of that game. I think it's more the counselors that you mainly play as throughout the rest of the game. I just don't find them as interesting.
I think the only characters in the game that I don't necessarily have an issue with are Brenda Song, her character.
I forgot she was even in that game.
Really, I think
I completely forgot.
I think they handle her character very well. Shoban, I think is how you pronounce her name. Laura Kearney in the game. The one who is in the beginning and they're trying to find the camp. I think her character is handled very fucking well. But everyone else,
I like hers a lot.
Yeah. But even like her boyfriend,
Skylar Gasano.
Yeah. When you play as him for one segment, and that's it. And it's like a 10-minute segment. Like, that's what I mean by like too many characters. Like, you could have had, her drive herself to the camp and it not really affect a ton.
Yeah. And I get that. Yeah, it kind of feels.
I mean, there are scenes,
little cheap.
Yeah, there are scenes with them in like the prison where they're talking and,
which I like those scenes too.
Yeah, but like when you play as him, it's such like a short, unnecessary bit.
Yeah, and and you know what? I have to play that game again because the story in my game ended a lot sooner than yours. I did not do good my first playthrough. I think everyone died. I don't remember. I think I killed everyone unintentionally, of course, but yeah, it was very short. I was like, I feel like I just got honey dicked by myself with this game. But yeah, it's definitely one worth playing through, and I think it'd be cool to do the online feature where we play together, or get some more people and be like, oh, we get to choose different decisions for these characters and stuff. Like,
I think that's
let's figure it out from there.
Go through it again. There's one.
I'd be down to do it again.
There's one thing that I do have in it, like one major storyline is, it's the guy. I don't remember any of their fucking names, except for Laura. It's the guy who is.
Are you talking about Justice Smith?
No. He's another issue with the game, but he's an issue in everything I watch him in. It's the guy who's into the other count. Like, they dated, I guess, during, like, camp season. And
Oh
then,
yeah, the broy.
yeah, and he's like super into her, and she's like not into him. There's one she's kind of like a bitch at the game, but like not. She kind of is, but she also isn't. Like,
But she isn't. Yeah, like
um,
we got Tom and Summer 500 Days of Summer situation going on with
yeah,
them. It's like,
like she's not a bitch in the game, but like she's kind of the. She's not like Emily in Until Dawn, but like in terms of
no.
like characters with attitude, I think she does have like the biggest attitude. Like
Yeah.
she's not a bitch, but she is definitely like she's kind of pushing that mean border
Yeah.
of what I remember when playing it.
She's like she's mean, but you get why. Like
Yeah.
you don't get you're not mad at her for being mean because you get
No.
it.
There's one scene where like and you have to do certain things to unlock it where they meet in the forest like after shit has like hit the fan. It's near the end of the game, and he asks her like about everything, and she's like, hey, like it's a very like genuine sweet moment like that's outside of her character the whole game. And she's like, I don't not like you, but this was just a summer thing, and you need to respect that. Like, you need to respect my decision that I don't want to be with you. And it's not that I don't like you, it's just
Oh,
that
I thought that was the middle of the game.
no, it's like near the end. Because
Oh, okay.
it's right after.
I don't think I got that.
No, because I didn't get it either. Because I went and I looked up. You have to do like a couple things like very specific to unlock it, and it's such like a huge thing that adds such a and you can choose from him to be like fuck you or like yeah I get it, but it's such a sweet genuine moment between the two that kind of brings it because it's a main thing. The whole reason this game happens is because he wants to be with her. So he breaks the car, and that's why the car breaks down, and they're in there, and they're stuck with these wolves. Their relationship is the whole reason that this plot happens. And
Right.
so to have this full circle moment not be in like the main game, and you have to do something very specific to unlock that moment, to me was kind of just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like-
no, I get that. It seems cheap.
Yeah. But
I think they
That's
were
my 2
hoping that
cents.
you could. I think they were hoping that you can have a lot of people would be replaying it a lot, like Until Dawn, so they'd be really going back and forth. But I guess it didn't really pan out that way.
yeah.
We are a little over time, but I do want to.
We'll just split it.
Yeah, but I do want to ask question about just Halloween. Hold on, I'm fixing something on my phone. For Halloween, it's tomorrow. We're recording this October 30th right now, and I'm just curious. I'm going to record this now on my side, so that way I post it later. But I was curious about your go-to movies for the Halloween season. I wanted to do a whole segment on it, but I think it'd still be fun just to ask and put it out there. Like, what are movies that you think are definitely needed to be watched during the Halloween season, whether it's with a group of friends or, stuff like that at a party? You can list as many as you want, or you can have like a top 3.
2015 Evil Dead. 2013. 2013.
2013,
Evil Dead.
yeah.
2013 Evil Dead. New releases this year, Lisa Frankenstein, which to me, Lisa Frankenstein is a year-round movie. Fucking love that movie. Long
I'm hoping
Legs.
to see some costumes of Lisa Frankenstein.
There have been quite a
and
few
the
that
creature.
Catherine Newton has been sharing on Instagram.
Nice. Long Legs, I've already seen a lot of costumes already, even before Halloween.
Long Legs. I would say OG Nightmare is always a watch.
Yes, by far.
OG Halloween.
Must need.
Yeah. And I really really fucking love, and I don't mention it a ton, but every time I'm reminded of it, I'm like, fuck, I love that movie. The first of the remake, the first It.
Oh, the remake.
Yeah.
That's a good Halloween movie, actually. I was actually watching part 1 and part 2 the other day.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. I have a little more love for part 2 now, but it's still not as strong as that first one.
It's not as good as the first one. It's good, but it's not as good.
Yeah. It just really drags in the middle, with like trying to explore everyone in that one.
Yeah.
But it's still a fun time. For me, one that's always a must, and it was proven last night when I showed my friend last night for the first time, but it's Trick or Treat. I think that's a quintessential Halloween movie. It takes place on Halloween. It's got that Halloween vibe, a bunch of different stories that it kind of feels like, you remember those books, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like you're reading one of those.
I'm so mad that movie wasn't as good as it should have been.
Yeah, it was fine. I have been wanting to check it out again at some point, but I don't know, man. It just wasn't as good as I wished it was. It was less scary than the books.
Yeah, it ended with there were some truly kind of chilling scenes in that.
Yeah,
but in all, the film just kind of fell flat.
Yeah,
which is a shame because
cool.
They were really good. Because Guillermo del Toro usually knocks it out of the park, but
if he was behind the camera, maybe it could have hit different. I don't know.
Was he?
No, he was just producing it.
Oh, he didn't direct it?
No. It was some Norwegian director. He did the movie Troll Hunter years ago. This found footage horror film.
Oh,
he didn't do it.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is with Guillermo del Toro. He should be directing more. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. I mean, he's got that Frankenstein movie coming out, but there's so many other projects he's worked on in the past where it's why didn't you just step behind the camera?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe selective. But yeah, Trick or Treat, definitely the movie worth watching. Oh, you've said Halloween already. But for another John Carpenter movie, I would go The Thing. That's another fun one to watch with a group of friends. The John Carpenter version. Scream 1. If you're with people that haven't seen it, definitely pop that on. I feel like a good Halloween movie to have on. You already said Nightmare on Elm Street, and I guess if we're going for new releases this year, I mean, I would say Terrifier 3, but I feel like that new one is kind of more you get together with your friends on Christmas and pop that shit on. You know what I mean? It just feels more like a Christmas horror movie than a Halloween one.
Even 1 and 2, I get 1 and 2 are Halloween movies, but
yeah.
Those are kind of just year-round slasher films to me. I don't get a spooky fall vibe from those films.
Yeah.
Not like you would get with Halloween, where Halloween feels very Halloween. Terrifier is kind of just a year-round-ish film for me.
Yeah. But the third one specifically just feels more like a Christmas horror. Yeah. So it's but they're fun and they're goofy, so I would say pop them on. And I guess if you want to be real nostalgic and you have a party going on, just throw Hocus Pocus on in the background. Why not? That's a classic one.
I'm in the camp of I don't get the hype around Hocus Pocus.
Did you grow up watching it, or did you watch it years later?
I watched it. I definitely watched it as an adult.
Okay, yeah, that's the fucking problem right there.
I watched it and I was why does everybody like this?
No, because if you watch it now, it's for the first time. You're gonna be what the hell is this?
Yeah. That was very much my reaction.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that's just definitely one of those movies where it'll hit different if you grew up with it. Ain't no way it'll hit the same for newbies. But that's going to do it for this episode. Very long one, but very fun one. It's been a while since we did one, so it's we had a lot to discuss and get out of the way.
We can splice this into 2 and be episode 30.5.
Yes.
So it's not super long.
Yeah, we'll tell Norman. But that's going to do it for
job.
this one. Thank you so much for watching, all of you that stuck around and have watched. If you like what you saw, consider hitting that like button and subscribe to us. Leave a comment down below. What did you think of Smile 2? What did you think of Silent Hill 2 Remake? What did you think of A Quiet Place, the video game? What is your go-to Halloween movie? Did we talk too much about alcohol in the beginning? And if so, deal with it? Because
we didn't talk about alcohol in the beginning at all. That's getting spliced out.
Okay, yeah. Well, they'll know now. Whatever the case may be, comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Once again, I am your co-host, Brandon.
I am Jerry.
Happy Halloween. Stay spooky.